Hi, this is Trace Rahano and this is video number 3, right? In video number 2, um, I described the need to give a written offer even before you check the property out, all right? Now, it's okay because in the written offer, okay, you have what I call an inspection contingency, okay? So that gives you ample of time to go to the property and inspect it, all right, before you actually need to shell out money. Okay, so you have that inspection contingency, so don't worry about that. Now, one very, very tiny thing, and I'm going to mention this to you because a student actually made this mistake. You know, when you submit a written offer and you tell your broker or your seller that you're the buyer, just be sure that your name is on the contract as one of the buyers. Okay, so don't put your name under the broker if you're not a broker. Okay, if you're a buyer, then make your name as part or one of the buyers. All right, so just to be clear that you don't make that mistake because you will lose credibility in a hurry. All right, so having said that, let's now proceed to step number 3. Okay, so once you get an accepted offer from your seller, that your seller accepted your offer, then now it's time to offer the property to your buyer. So let's go through that and look into that in detail. So one of the things that you have to do is you email the price and terms to your buyer. Okay, now use common sense here. When you're buying the property, you're buying it at a lower price and at terms that are friendly to you. All right, so for example, you can buy a property for 800,000 and the closing is in 30 days. That is, you have 30 days to do your due diligence. Now, when you're selling the property, when you offer the property to your buyer, the price will be higher than 800,000 and the terms will be, not as friendly to your buyer. All right, so for example, it can be you're selling the property for 1.1 million. All right, and the term, all right, is closing in 5 days, all right, or closing in 10 days. All right, so you have 30 days to close with your seller and you're only giving your buyer 10 days to close. Why is that? Because there is always a possibility, all right, that first buyer of yours will not actually deliver or will not close. Okay, so if the terms are the same and if your buyer doesn't deliver, guess what? Then you lose the deal. But if you only gave your buyer 10 days to close and you have 30 days to close with your seller, if buyer number 1 fails to deliver, you have 20 more days to find another buyer. Okay? So it's important that the price that you sell the property for is obviously higher than the price you're buying it for. Okay? This is why in step number 1, you define the exit strategy and the entry strategy. The entry is how you buy. The exit is how you sell. All right? Then, of course, the buyer will ask for the pictures, so you email the pictures, as many pictures as you can. Okay? You also email repairs, if any, because that's one of the questions that you ask in the WOW questions. Right? Okay? Now, also get the copies of the title and the tax declaration from the seller. Now, I said from the seller, and I did not say in step number 3 that you're going to give it to your buyer. Okay, do not give copies of the title and the tax declaration to the buyer yet. Okay, that has got to wait, and I'll explain later in subsequent steps, okay, as to why that is the case. All right, so so now if the buyer is interested in your property, that's the only time you go to step 4, which is you show the property. Now, if the buyer is not interested based on the pictures and based on the price and terms, okay, then you follow up. You ask why. All right? Then, you also look for another property for that buyer. One of the things you need to check is a properties database. Again, exclusively available to the members of the Quick Cash Power Dealer Club. All right? You can also look for another buyer. Okay, so for example, you know that that property is a good deal, okay, but for some reason, your buyer doesn't want it. Maybe it's too expensive or maybe it's not quite, at the place, where he likes it to be, okay? Or maybe during, you know, when he saw the pictures, it looks not as big or not as fancy as he was hoping for, okay? Then now you have a property, okay, that you know, that you want to sell, but you don't have a buyer yet. Okay, so one of the things that I advise the members of the Quick Cash Power Dealer Club to do is to look into our database. You know, this database being updated daily by the members. All right, so for all you know, there might be another buyer for your property already. Okay, so this is one way that I help the members of the Quick Cash Power Dealer Club so that we can do a lot more deals, okay, than individual real estate investors who are trying to do the business on their own. Okay, this is where the power of the mastermind comes in. All right, so it's very, very crucial, you know, that even if you're not a member of the Quick Cash Power Dealer Club, that you know, mastermind with other real estate investors. All right. So Napoleon Hill said that, you know, mastermind is a very, very powerful concept that enables, you know, a group of people to make money very, very quickly. All right. So anyway, I digress a little bit there, but, you know, so after you show the property just based on email, so you try to sell the property based on the email, and if the buyer is interested, then you go and show the property for the first time, you know, and for all intents and purposes, this is also your first time to go to the property. Okay, again, don't worry because you have your inspection contingency anyway. All right, so with that, you know, this is the end of video number 3, and I'll see you in video number 4.